Welcome to another edition of Biro Sports Talk. I'm your host, Biro. And as always, I'm here to bring you some generalized sports to talk about. Today, just time got away from me. So we ran a little late today, and that's okay. We're still bringing you all the things you love, and that's sports. So, as you can see, we are on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Feel free to definitely check us out. But let's dive right into it. So, over the past couple days, we finally got our play-in games for the NBA. Now, you're probably wondering why we needed to know about this. Well, let's start with Tuesday and go from there. So, the play-in games 7 through 10 were played Tuesday and Wednesday night. Tonight is the 8th seed battle between Indiana and Washington. But first, let's talk about what happened Tuesday and Wednesday. So Tuesday, you had the Eastern Conference. The 7th seed Boston Celtics played the 8th seed Washington Wizards, and the Celtics won 118-100 behind Jason Tatum's 50 points. Boston has secured a 7 seed now, and Washington will play for the 8th seed tonight. Who they face? Well, the winner of the 9-10 matchup, Indiana, destroyed Charlotte 144-117. And you look at it, Indiana's a talented team, but Washington has stars that will shine. So what will happen tonight? My prediction being that it's at Washington. I think Washington gets the edge here. Indiana, I think, won due to having home court advantage against Charlotte. Now, the Western side on Wednesday. Everyone's talking about this three-point shot by LeBron James. But we'll focus there. The Lakers secured the 7th seed by beating Golden State 103-100. Honestly, I think they stole one right there from Golden State, but that's okay. In the 9-10 matchup, you got San Antonio versus Memphis. Memphis won 196. So now, tomorrow night, Friday, you got Memphis at Golden State playing for the 8th seed. So tomorrow night, 8th seed. And then Saturday, we start playoffs. You got Miami at Milwaukee. You got Dallas at the Clippers. You got Boston at the Nets. And Portland at Denver. Sunday, you got 2 games here. It will be the winner of Thursday night playing Philadelphia, Lakers versus Suns, Hawks versus Knicks, and the winner of Memphis and Golden State playing Utah. And then we go on and on. So, playoffs are here. They're here to stay for now. We'll see what happens. I would say next week we'd go into it more. But let's just go right into it right this second. So, if I had to predict some of these outcomes, let's start with the 2 games tonight and tomorrow. Personally, I think the Wizards get it. I think the Wizards, they've battled so much that I think they'll win. I mean, Westbrook and Bradley Beal, they're going to power through and get to the playoffs. On the Western side, I think the Warriors get it. They're just battling more. And being at home, they're a good home team. I think that's what will give them the edge over Memphis. Plus, this is inaccurate now, but they ended the year with a 6-game winning streak on top of I mean, they lost to the Lakers by 3. That's very minuscule. They can bounce back, but I can't. I just don't see them getting more than that. So, how will these playoffs play? It's very important that we talk about it. So let's start. With my picks, the way they are, I think Sixers will beat the Wizards. Nets will beat the Celtics. Bucks will struggle with the Heat, but I think they edge the Heat. And of course, I'm going to go with the top 4 seeds here. I think the Knicks outlast the Hawks. Knicks are a surprisingly decent team. There's a reason they're 4th. I mean, you look at them versus the Hawks. Hawks were better in division, but by conference is how the Knicks are ahead of the Hawks in the standings. But from there, I see the Nets beating the Bucks. I see 76ers beating the Knicks, leaving us Nets, Sixers. And I just have to say, I think the Nets get it. I think the Nets will make it. This could be some Durant bias, but I do think the Nets will get there, especially with Harden. If Harden starts to falter, man, you got 2 other options at least. It's hard to go against them. They're just a very well put together team. On the Western side, saying going with the Warriors as my 8th seed, like I predicted, do you think the Jazz beats the Warriors? I think the Suns do beat the Lakers. Nuggets, Trailblazers. I think Trailblazers score an upset here. And of course, I think the Clippers do beat Dallas. I just think Dallas is missing a piece. They need something, another star, basically. Porzingis is not who they thought he should be. So with that, I would have the Jazz facing the Clippers, the Suns versus the Trailblazers. I do think the Suns beat the Trailblazers. And I think the Clippers upset the Jazz. Jazz, I don't know why. Something about them is off to me. And that's what's going to hold them back from a championship. What that thing is, I don't know if it's Mitchell not becoming a megastar or what. But that's where I'm going with for that one. That leaves me with the Suns versus the Clippers. I gotta say, man, I want to see the Suns win this over the Clippers. Either team would be great to see. I'm going Suns. I like the Chris Paul, Booker, Ayton dynamic. The team, when Chris Paul is on a team gets better every time. If I look at this depth chart, because I can, if it actually, there we go, depth chart. I mean, you got Chris Paul, you got Devin Booker, you got Mikal Bridges, who's a very decent player at the forward. You got Jay Crowder playing the other forward. And, of course, you got DeAndre Ayton at center. Payne's a good backup. Cameron Payne. Maybe lacking behind Devin Booker. Maybe lacking behind Mikal Bridges. But Cameron Johnson can fill in here and there for that, too. For both forwards. Dario Saric, Frank Kaminsky. You got players, man. At the bigs. You can rotate them more. Let Chris Paul do his thing. Let Devin Booker do his thing. You know they're going to play lots of minutes. Especially in the playoffs. The only thing holding the Suns back is inexperience. And I think they're talented enough to overcome that. So with the Suns versus the Nets, I don't see the Suns overcoming them. I think the Nets win. But that is the prediction right now. We're saying Nets, Suns, and that's interesting to say the least. So, what else is there to say really in the basketball world? Well, let me stop us right there. And of course, let's, look over here off to the side right here. So, right here off to the side, we got some Funko Pop protectors for Zion Williamson and Michael Jordan. Of course, Evo Retro has all your retro needs and accessories. Give them a look. Check out their inventory. Of course, they also have Funko Pop protectors. I mean, you got to protect your Funko Pops if you want to keep their value up. So, with that being said, let's get back to sports. Back to sports, because that's what we're here for. So let's give an update on Major League Baseball. We haven't, as normal, we don't talk much baseball. We more go over the standings and how everyone's doing. So let's start with the AL East. So you got the Red Sox, you got the Rays, you got the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Orioles. In that order, Red Sox leading the way by half a game over the Rays. Yankees a whole game back from the Red Sox. The Blue Jays doing very well as well. They're a game and a half behind. And then there's Baltimore 8.5 behind. 17 games though, not the worst in the league. But that title goes to the Minnesota Twins of the AL Central in our next division. Excuse me. So you got the White Sox in first, Indians second, 2.5 games back. You got the Royals there at third, under 500, with 6 games back, and of course the Tigers 9.5 games back. Anyone that's not the Indians and White Sox, it looks like it's going to be a rough year. Tigers, however, are 8-2 in their last 10. 17-26, not bad. They might turn it around, but as I said, though, right now, White Sox, Indians above everyone else in that division. The AL West, the final American League division. Got the Astros in first. Got the A's a half game behind, only because they lost one more game. They played one more game. But if you look at the A's, they're a better away team than home team. Right now at home, they're 14-13. You gotta hope they correct that soon. But you also got the Mariners 21-23. You also got the Angels 19-24 and the Rangers 19-27. The Angels, you hope they can turn around. They have some of the most talked about. They have the most talked about player in the league with Shohei Ohtani. Just being able to do it all like we do in Little League or Farm League. It's amazing to watch him both pitch and hit. So, that's spectacular that he can do both at such a high level. But let's transition over to National League. Why? Because, even though I'm from Ohio, there's a lot of Reds fans where I live. Personally, Indians guy, but we talk Reds, but we're going to start with the NL East. You got the Mets sitting in first, 20-17. You got the Phillies right there, a game back, 22-21. Yeah, that's a lot more games than the Mets. The Braves are 20-23. They're 3 games back. Though Braves usually start slow, but they pick up speed in the coming months, like in June. The Marlins doing pretty well, 19-23 as well. Washington Nationals, 17-23. Not too terrible. A lot of these teams are still within each other just because the Mets are only 3 games above 500. Phillies are 1 game above 500. Everyone else is just under 500 for the most part. But in the NL Central, which is usually closer than what it is right now, you got the Cardinals in first, 25-18. 3 games back, you got the Cubs 22-21. Brewers are 21-22, 4 games back. The once red hot Reds. Whew. I think it's my hair. Yeah. Of course. But as I was saying, the once red hot Reds are now 19-23, 5.5 games back. They just haven't been winning. They're 3-7 in the last 10 games, lost 4 in a row now. They need something to go their way if they plan to be above 500. And of course, Pirates are sitting last, 17-25. Doing better in the last 10 games than the Reds, but that's okay. The Reds can turn it around. They're talented enough to turn it around. But we'll see what the future has in stow. Now, the NL West has 3 very talented teams right now. You got the Giants at 28-16. You got the Padres 27-17. You got the Dodgers 25-18. You got very talented clubs right there. All at least 8-2 in their last 10 games. Padres 9-1. The Padres are 1 game back. Dodgers are 2.5 back at 25-18. That leaves the bottom half, which are way out already. 10 games is a lot of games to be back. So is 13. NL West, Diamondbacks, Rockies, 18-26, 15-29, respectively. The Rockies have won 2 games on the road. That's why they're 15-29. They can win at home, which most teams can. But yeah, 2-17 away. That will kill your season. Diamondbacks, they're more 500. Can't really win on the road, but they've had 17 losses on the road. That's a lot of losses on the road. If we look at everybody else in the league, the only team that matches that 17 losses, Colorado Rockies, and they've played less games away. You look at anything else, though. The best team with the home record was 16. I saw it already. 16 home wins is the Cubs, man. The Cubbies. They're not a good away team. They're 6-12. You gotta look at these stats, man, for some of this. It's what I do for the NBA as well, in some cases. For those who do care, let's go ahead and talk about this. The Columbus soccer team, or soccer club, has decided to accept calling themselves the Columbus Crew SC. Crew fans, of course, ecstatic that their team is still called the Crew. I do believe the symbols changed once again on ESPN. They did change it to the Columbus SC, which, like I said, is a little disappointing. But they are the Crew once more. Where are the Crew? There they are. Columbus Crew, sitting right there. Not very high right now in the rankings. They're always a slow start. But I mean, they literally just changed the logo so it added Crew at the bottom. I'm also pretty positive they got rid of... So a lot of people were making fun. So if you look at the logo right now, there's a 96 on the right-hand corner of the Ohio flag, basically, is how the design looks. That 96 used to be just a white triangle. I love that they made it 96, but I also love that they added Crew back, because you can't call them anything else. They are the Crew. But for sports, we are there. I mean, Tim Tebow signed his deal to be a Jags tight end. He will wear the number 85. A lot of people are saying, this is an interesting signing since they have some guys who've done it all their lives. Excuse me. But I think Tebow's going to be used more as a H-back than a tight end. If I had to tell you what he'll be. Oh, excuse me. Will they use Tebow though? See, that's always the thing. You think Tebow... Do you really think Tebow's going to do much? I could see him contributing, but not stats-wise. He's going to be able to contribute, just like I said, not the way he would expect him to. So what's next for Biro Sports Talk? Whew, there we go. Get these yawns out of me. What's next for Biro Sports Talk? We'll be talking next week about, of course, more NBA playoffs. We'll talk about where baseball is once more because, that's what we do. But the world of sports is in full swing. A year ago, I came up here and was struggling to give you guys content because there was nothing going on. Nothing. But here we are in a new age. Some mandates have been lifted. Some things have been changed. So next week, we'll be back at the regular time of 7. Once again, sorry about the late start. But we will see you all next week. Same time, 7 p.m. Have a good rest of your week.